Welcome back, everyone, for another episode of Tech Talk.
I'm Roy for the Tech.
And I am Merle for the Talk.
We're now in our 6th episode and we're not stopping anytime soon. So we're nearing the end of October and we're beginning November now. But we're still in the final legs of the spooky season.
Alright, so you know what that means. It's time to switch your chat, finally, to the Halloween theme in Messenger if you haven't already, and get into the spirit of the month.
And before any of you guys ask, yes, we already did when the update came in.
After all, it is the spooky month.
It's a spooky time.
But we're not here for the Halloween ramblings. That can be reserved for a special episode if we will ever do one. Sir Alvin, get on that.
But no promises though, so
yeah. There is no promises though. Absolutely no promises.
No promises. We'll probably just make one or maybe not.
Maybe
Today's episode is all about inner peace, where you can connect the last episode, which was about personal well-being, so you can say this is a back-to-back.
Which is why episode 5 and 6 comes before 4. That was actually a technical problem on our end, so you don't need to worry about missing episode 4.
Yeah, and if ever this episode gets delayed, we'll release episode 4 before 6, and that's not confusing at all.
Absolutely not confusing at all.
Anyway, let's start with some banter before moving into the tech section, as always.
Alright, so are you smart, Roy? Do you have a big brain, as the kids say these days?
Smooth brain time. Smooth brain.
You see, most people neglect brain power. You know, brain power allows you to think outside of the box. And it's like playing 4-dimensional chess in a 3D plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're not playing 4D chess because we are not smart enough. But
exactly,
if you are,
then I highly recommend that you sign up for Brain Arena. It's an OSAS event where, again, you do brain type exercises, you test your smarts, and it's just something to have fun with your friends.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they still have any semifinals or finals because I do know that they just have their preliminaries.
Yeah, they just
had
their
ago.
Yeah, they just had their preliminary rounds. I think they just finished it. So again, I'm not sure if you can still join this, but it's best to ask, I think, the OSAS members to see if you still can. But it's a good little event that allows you to test your brain power, test the way you think and your memory and all that. After all, we all gotta not only work out. We don't only just have to work out our bodies. We also have to work out our brains.
Yeah, and if ever this podcast came late, we'll just have to say what Brain Arena was about.
Exactly.
So, Brain Arena is basically those Q&A type of games where you're challenged with your understanding.
Yep, your understanding. Not just your memory, mind you, your understanding.
Yeah, it's basically a game of wit and imagination. So, I guess this is more think outside the box thing, if you get my thing.
Yep, this is my favorite. I think one of my favorite questions, especially when in these brain type games, is okay, Roy. I'm gonna test you here, alright?
Alright.
Since we're both
smooth brain communicating.
Alright, we're both programmers here, so this should come really easily for you, alright? Okay. So my mother told me that I have to go to the store and buy 3 jugs of milk. If they have eggs, I should buy 6. When I came back, what did I bring back to my mother?
Okay, wait. You got 6 then.
6 what?
6. Wait, can you repeat? I
All
got
right.
lost already.
Okay. My mother told me to go to the store and buy a carton of milk. Alright? She said that if the store has eggs, I have to buy 6.
So 6 milk.
Yep. That's correct. It's a logic type question. So more or less
the funds of programming.
Yep, more or less
have
it's
to
a
be very
programming type
specific,
question,
yeah.
but it's just logic if you think about it.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess anything else to add to the Brain Arena, Roy?
Well, other than that, where they made their Brain Arena games through Google Meet from 6 to 7 p.m., that's kind of it.
All right, well that's it. All right, let's move on, Roy. You got anything else for us?
Well, we're moving on to the tech section already, so I'll be starting.
All right.
I mean, yeah. Okay, first we're going to be talking about social robots.
Yes, the social robots. And you don't mean AI like Alexa or like Google, do you?
You can kind of say that, but they're really not. Why, do you ask? They are tools, not
Yep.
friends.
That's true. They're not really like robots that can actually, interact with you. They can only do so
Yeah.
in some capacity.
Yeah, it's those things, Google Assistant, Alexa, Siri, they're personal assistants, so I'd rather not do the hey Google thing. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, don't. Okay, so anyway. Okay, I'm just checking if my phone's actually heard that command.
Don't say "Hey Google" out loud, or else it's going to end up. Okay, my phone responded. Goodbye. Okay.
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 Okay, so anyway, back to this.
Okay.
Social robots are different from personal assistants because social robots are not really there to give you the weather, to give you the reminders, your personal agenda for the day. No, it's not that. It's the interaction that's more important.
Yep. So it's more like a little personal friend you have on your desk or right next to you, or things like
Yes. I have just the types of robots to talk about.
that. All right, lay it on me, Roy.
Alright, this are really expensive, like the 2 out of 3.
All
But
right.
I'm going to tell you it's not really about the price since we don't even have these products anyway. So let's go. The first robot is Jibo. The
Oh.
Jibo.
Oh, is Jibo like this? Like, wait, hold on. Is this like this robot on the desk? Is this like the tiny robot or the large robot?
The large white robot that looks like a coffee machine.
Ah, yeah, okay. I think I know a bit about this one. So, anyway, continue, Roy.
Yeah, so basically Jibo is a stationary, pivoting social robot that tries to forge interaction between us and them. Like, people and technology.
Alright, so basically, does it start asking random questions about you like, hey, bud, I've been here for like a couple days. Can you give me your credit card number? You know, those funny numbers?
No, they're actually against that sort of thing, which is why
Alright.
they actually don't have any Alexa or Google Assistant integration.
Okay, so
yeah.
alright, so what?
So what?
I wanted to ask actually, how does Jibo work exactly? Like, it forges a relationship with you, but like, what do you mean? Like, does it start asking the
It
questions?
converses. It
Oh, so-
converses with
so
you.
it just starts-
It makes jokes for you if you want to. You can play games with it.
Oh, so
Yeah.
basically you can say things like Simon Says or no, like simple games like tell me this or tell me that.
I'm not really sure on the games part because for the games that I was talking about, it has 2 cameras.
Okay.
Forgetting it.
Mhm.
And there's a game in its miniature screen which acts as its face.
Okay.
Well, you control the game with the camera.
Oh. Oh. Okay. All right. That I can see that being fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Get this, it gives you gifts. What do I mean by gifts? It greets you, it praises you, I guess, and gives you an image to accompany it. Like, for example, it's Valentine's.
They
It
give
gives
you a heart.
Yeah.
Imagine one day it says Merry Christmas and it just gives you a picture of Jose Marichan. oh yeah. That is a blessing.
Whenever I
I
see
see
girls
girls and boys.
selling lanterns on the street.
Actually, I can imagine this being really, really creepy. Like, imagine, like, okay, Roy, I know you've done this. Everyone has done this at one point. But imagine, like, you know how at, like, sometimes at 2 a.m. or, like, 1 a.m. you get really hungry? So, like, you end up going downstairs and either eating either the cheesiest thing you have or basically any food you want. Like, either sweet or salty.
In my case, it's the chocolates in the fridge.
Exactly. So everyone does that, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if you're sneaking downstairs and like you just hear Jibo turn on and it says, "What are you doing, Roy? Why are you down here?"
I mean, yeah, it does. Wait, get this.
Yeah.
Because of its 2 cameras, it can recognize you. It can recognize up to 16 people.
So that means
So
that
when you're in the room, and get this, it has 6 microphones. So when it hears something, it goes toward where it thinks the noise is, and if it recognizes you, it would say hi.
it will literally just spin right around and look at you and says, "Hey,
Hi, Earl.
hey, Earl, what are you doing down here?" and that would basically kind of that would really scare you. Like that would scare
Yeah.
you out of your wits.
Oh yeah, you can pet it, and it purrs like a cat. So
A very creepy digital cat.
remember, like what I said earlier, from the words of the company Jibo, it's a companion, not a tool.
Nice. So it's for people who want to get a pet but don't want to take care of it. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. I mean, there is a robotic dog that I'll be talking about later, but yeah, that's still coming for later.
All right. So you got anything else for us? What's next on the list, Roy?
I'm not done with Jibo yet.
All right, go. Tell me more about Jibo.
Okay, so the reason why I'm talking about expensive things earlier is because this was $699.
Why is it so expensive?
June 2018, mind you, because this is a startup company, and this is
Alright.
the discounted one already. It was $899 when it was released.
So $200 off. All right, I can see
Yeah.
that being somewhat of a steal.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
But why am I talking about was here? was
Yep.
was
Was.
because well,
I
it
think
went under.
it basically crashed, didn't it? Because I also thought about this. Like, how are they able to sort of keep the funds flowing outside of sales, right?
Yeah, because remember, it's all investment, and what happens if the investment money dries up? You can't pay for the servers anymore that runs most of its systems.
Yep, and
Aw.
and I remember this, unless you make it subscription based, you can't really maintain it. You have to rely solely on sales to maintain everything.
Yeah, and in an increasingly competitive tech world, yeah,
I can
it's
see.
really hard.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult to keep that up.
Yeah. Okay, so just some minor what happened to it tidbits before we move on to the other robot. Jibo Inc. laid off the majority of its workforce in June of 2018 and later closed down for good on November.
No,
That same year.
Oh, such a shame though. It was a good idea, but sadly, ideas don't really pay the bills, don't they? Do they?
Yeah, because people expected it to be a personal assistant more.
So basically like Alexa or Google Home.
Yeah. Because
But-
it's like the Apple HomePod. It doesn't really have that much functionality when it comes to personal assistants because it wasn't really designed for it. And it doesn't really sell that much. Why? Because people kind of expect more.
Oh yeah, that they do. That they do. You absolutely need to hold on. I have to mute my phone because it will not stop. All right, here we go. Let's do. All right, continue.
Alright, second robot.
Is it Vector?
Vector. The
Is- okay.
anti-Vector.
All right, I actually like this one. I know who Vector is. Vector's like that tiny desk robot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know about this one. This is one adorable robot. I highly
Yeah,
recommend
it's like
everyone.
it's like a small bulldozer, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it looks like a small bulldozer, or you know, it kind of looks like Mo from Wall-E. If you guys ever watched that movie.
Mo.
Yeah, it's basically like that, but it's more or less a small bulldozer that has its own personality that you build around. Like basically, it's up to you to build how it's going to act and like how it's going to like respond.
Yeah, and it's a tiny mobile robot for you listeners. And yes, you can pet it.
Yeah, and it purrs and it doesn't like to be picked up, or else it throws a little tantrum.
Yeah, and it has its own cube with it, so you know how it's like a little bulldozer? It has its own cube, so you can play with it.
Yep, you can like sort of pass
Let
it
him
the
play
cue,
with it, yeah.
and you can even give it fist bumps. You know, it asks for fist bumps, it asks you to be pet, and it even gives you the weather.
Yeah. It just like with Jibo, it has a lot of things in common with Jibo. It has its own built-in camera which recognizes people. But unlike Jibo, like what I said earlier, it's a mobile robot. And it also uses the camera to go to its charging dock and charge. If
Oh,
it's
that's
low on
adorable. That's absolutely adorable. It's like having a little like robot with you. Like you know those animations as a kid where like the protagonist always has like this tiny pet on their desks that does whatever. Now you can actually have that.
Yeah, if Anki did not go under just like Jibo.
Yep, because
Sad.
it's more or less the same problem. You
Yeah.
have the robot, but how are you gonna maintain the servers?
Yeah, I mean, you would think with a $250 price tag, it's really cheap in comparison to Jibo. But then again,
How are we gonna maintain it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can say the Amazon Alexa integration worked, yes, but it's just that where do you gonna get the funding?
Yeah, exactly. The funding is always going to be an issue with these type of things. You have to make sure, like, aside from the product being good, you have a stable source of income to keep maintaining whatever it is you need to keep the product going.
Yeah.
Why do you think cell phones earn so much? Because a lot of them aren't even from like the actual phones themselves. A lot of them is from all the stuff you buy with the phone.
Yeah. Or you can ask yourself this. Why are phones so cheap now? Now, ignoring the flagships, why are they so cheap now? Unlike before.
Why? Why are they so
Why?
cheap, Roy?
Why?
Why are they so cheap?
Let's not talk in that.
Yeah, let's not talk.
to that
That
topic.
is way off topic. All right,
Yeah.
so now on the next.
So just some more tidbits. Anki went under in April 2019.
Oh,
Same problems as Jibo. Lack of funding. Expenses overtook revenue and funding.
yep, more or less. They were operating at a net loss rather than like a profit.
Yeah. So moving on to the third and final robot, and you can call this a success. This is Aibo.
It's the dog, isn't it?
Yes, the dog. I'd ask a question for you.
All right.
Which company did Aibo come from?
Is it the same one as that made Jibo?
No. No.
All right, it's not
not.
then. All right, it's not then who?
Sony.
Oh, it's by Sony. Okay.
Yeah, it's a dog social robot, like what we've been talking about earlier. And
Oh my god.
it's primarily focused on the social aspect. What do I mean by that? There is no personal assistant functionality whatsoever. I mean, why would it be? Do you like to ask your dog on what your personal agenda or the weather is today?
Yes, no. One of the things I definitely discuss with my dog. Yes, how am I going to take over North America?
It would be like talking to my dog and say, "Hey Sid, what is the temperature for Quezon City right now?"
Exactly, and it would be weirder if it did respond back to you, diba?
It is 29 degrees in Quezon City.
So more or less, the dog doesn't respond in that way.
Yeah, it has its own app, of course.
Yeah.
And yes, you can pet it. And it can understand between praise and anger.
So that means like basically a regular dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Alright, a little bit of history. Because you would say what happened to this Aibo dog. If it will go into the same situation as what Anki or Jibo Inc. came with. Now, a little bit of history for the Sony Aibo. Because I know you're questioning whether this robotic dog will go into the wayside just like what happened with Jibo or Vector.
Okay.
I think you're questioning that right now,
All right.
even though I'm really far away. Okay. To cut to the chase, yes, it did.
More or less, what happened was the
But not what you think it is.
Alright, so-
because remember, the original Sony Aibo was released in 1999.
All right. So what happened?
Okay, it costed $2,100 when it was released.
Okay.
And get this.
Yeah?
Citing poor sales, Sony announced that they will shut down Aibo in January of 2006.
All right. So why did they? So
Yeah, but
okay.
citing poor
All right.
sales.
Oh, let me guess. It's because of the sales that they had to shut it down, not because of like the maintenance.
Yeah, citing poor sales.
All right.
Yeah, not the maintenance, because Sony can maintain. And get this, why did I say not because of maintenance? Because of this next point.
Yeah.
Yes, Sony shut down Aibo in 2006, but when did they end support and maintenance for it?
When?
When did you think it?
I think they like stopped maintenance for around 2015 or 2016. That's a good way. That's a good mark, right?
Yes, yes. In Japan, July of 2014, and in the US, February of 2015.
All right. So what? It was because of poor sales, right?
Yes.
Oh my god.
But even then, Sony was still committed to maintaining this for 7 to 8 years.
All right. So now let's move on to. All right. Is there anything else?
And before that, before I move on. Because of this, Sony revived Aibo in 2017. That's why we have the latest version.
All right, so it's still up and running. Nice. That's good to know.
Yes.
Good to know.
Very good to know.
So if any one of you
Alright.
want a robot dog and are filthy rich, actually it's best if I don't mention that because that's gonna be cut out again. Then yeah, this is the robot dog for you. All right, so.
Yeah, as long as you're in the US or in
All
Japan.
right, so moving on, Roy. What else do you have for us today?
Well, I just have one app to share because, we're in the topic of inner peace. And I'd like to share the app that keeps me going.
Oh, all right.
At least keeps the mind
Alright.
going. And this is not really a mobile app, this is a desktop app because Windows and macOS.
Okay.
Adobe XD.
Oh my, is this the interfacing thing where you can use it to make phone interfaces and pretty much anything?
Yeah, it's a UI prototyping tool, that's what it's called.
Alright.
You basically make UI designs for websites, for watches, for phones, anything that has to do with
Yeah,
UI.
so basically it's just a good way for developers or not developers to just sort of play around with it and like make their own dream app even though it doesn't work, but still.
Yeah. But still, it's for me, it's the creativity that I pour into it. Yes, you may get the artist struggle
Yeah, the
of
trying
WIPs.
Yep,
Instead of work in progress, it becomes work indefinitely postponed and
Yep,
whatnot.
and you just
I
start to get demotivated, and then you just leave it, and then eventually you do come
Yeah.
back though. That is something that does
Yeah.
happen. You do come back eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I actually do from time to time. I leave it for a few days, become motivated, and come back.
Oh wow, absolutely. That's actually a good process because sometimes
Yeah.
okay, so here's a different topic, right? I'm gonna go off topic a bit here, but the problem is that burnout usually stems from the fact that you do something for too long of a period of time. Basically, you do one thing for too long, you end up getting tired of doing it, and you end up burning yourself out eventually. But
Yeah.
basically, because the definition of burnout is being demotivated to continue, finish, or even start something. So the best way to like make sure that at least works that you like are completed is to pace yourself. That means only do it like, let's say, all right, I'm gonna work on this for maybe 2 hours a day, or I'm gonna keep working on this until this is finished, like this part is finished, so that when you come back, you still have motivation to keep doing it. You still have love for the thing you're doing, and that you don't end up burning yourself out. It can be, because burnout is not just for work, it can be attributed to anything really.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, in this case, it's my hobby.
yep, more or less it's the
And
hobby.
yes, you can say that why am I wasting so much of my time? Even though it's a hobby, I could just rest myself.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not
Watch
important
some
for me.
plane documentaries, plane crash documentaries.
Stop calling me
Yeah.
out.
The supplementary engine has failed and they are now plummeting below 2,000 meters above the ground.
But the pilots were heroes. Oh, damn. The best part.
And
everybody survived.
when the pilots are the heroes for the nth time.
Which is actually kind of not really most of the time, which is sad. But anyway, let's move
Yeah,
on.
that's all right. So let's move on. All right, I think this part is for me, Roy. I think it's called the pet care apps. All right. So Roy, to give everyone an insight of what pet care apps are, did everyone have a Tamagotchi growing up? Roy, did you have a Tamagotchi growing up?
No.
All right. So the way you just said no.
Yes, no, because that awkward pause was intentional.
All right. So Tamagotchi, for those of you who don't know, is basically this pocket-like pet that you used to hang on your bag or keep in your pocket, and more or less you just had to feed it, play with it, and take care of it. And it had like the health, happiness, and like the hunger bar. That was basically it. It was so simple. And speaking of which, I don't know where mine is anymore. In fact, I think it's in fact somewhere in my old house. In my old house, mind you, and it's just gathering dust. And my pet is very well dead by now.
Damn.
Alright, so anyway, Roy, what were you saying? As you were saying?
Well, I'm just saying that I never had a Tomadama.
What? A Tamadamada?
Tomadama because, yeah, that's the point. Since I don't own one. I don't know how to pronounce
Yeah, it's a Tamagotchi. But anyway, the reason I mentioned that, Roy, is to actually ease ourselves into like pet care apps, because no matter what happens, nothing can replace Tamagotchi, because it was, think about it, ahead of its time. Like, it was the very, if not the very first, like, pet care app that everyone had. But but it's not really an app, it's more of a device, a pet care device. So,
Yeah. Wait, when was this released?
I don't remember
You know?
actually, but the reason I mentioned Tamagotchi is mainly because I remember it from my childhood, like around, I think 2004, 2005, when I had one when I was really young. But,
For Nintendo people, that's Nintendo Dogs. If you've ever
Nintendogs.
on the what? Nintendo
yeah, it's called
Dogs?
Nintendogs. More or less, it's just a thing that you play on the DS and you have to take care of a dog.
Yeah.
So, on the
DS.
Alright, so moving on, the topic I wanted to introduce today are pet care apps, which are apps that function similarly to, again, Nintendogs and Tamagotchi, which is you have to actively take care of a pet. It could be a person, it could be pretty much anything. You can take care of a pet. You have to watch over it, and in fact, if you leave it for too long of a periods of time, it actually gets lonely, hungry, or dirty based on what the app actually is. So I'm here to recommend 2 pet care apps. All right, not 1, but 2 pet care apps.
But 2.
All right, so all right, Roy, I can tell you're excited for this.
Alright.
So the first one, all right, I'm pretty sure everyone knows this because even up until now, this is still number 8 on the App Store, and also number 8 for the Google Play Store. It's called Pou, Pou, or Poo.
Oh.
All right, it's basically
Yeah,
this.
that guitar pick looking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically the light brown guitar pick looking thing, or the light. Actually, sabihin ko nilang pandesal kasi mukha talaga siyang pandesal eh, si Pou. Pou look.
How does a guitar pick look like a pandesal though?
No, it looks like.
Because it's brown.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
brown.
Because
Mukha
it's
siyang
brown.
pandesal, legit. Yun ang naiisip ko. So, Pou, or Pandesal, is basically a light brown pandesal or guitar pick, or whatever you want to call it, that you have to eat, that you have to like feed, bathe, play with, and you can even dress up. And what makes this app so unique is that it's completely free. Sure, you'd have to deal with a bunch of ads every now and again when you have to play a game, but it's completely but it's completely free. If you don't want to take care of like a dog or cat, this could be a possible alternative for you. Because with this, Pou is actually, you can just leave him alone, or you can just you can leave him alone for a good 2 or 3 hours before he gives you a notification saying, hey, I'm lonely, or hey, I'm hungry, or hey, I need this, I need that. And in fact, I know this is just a marketing strategy, but if you buy him new things, it actually increases the amount of time that you can leave him alone for without spending time with him, which, if you think about it, is actually
It's kind of
like real life, except we are all Pou. For example, if somebody gave you like a top of the line PC, or someone gave you a car, your parents can leave you alone for an extended period of time without worrying about you. Correct? Diba? Diba?
Correct.
Alright, so that's it for Pou, really. And more to add to Pou is the app still receives continuous updates from the developer, because the app is still successful, believe it or not, despite how old it is. In fact, this came out in around 2013, 2014. And the good thing about it is it's completely free. It's still completely free, and it still receives continuous updates. And now for the second one. This was actually somewhat recently popular, I think a year ago. This, Roy, I think you know what this is. It's Adorable Home.
Yes, I still remember the memes.
Yup. Alright, I'm not... You know how...
We're not going to talk about memes
Yep,
here.
not going to talk about the one meme that made me really laugh about Adorable Home. But one thing you should know about Adorable Home is it allows you to take care of pretty much any pet. It could be like something like a lizard, it could be a dog, it could be a cat, but mostly its main focus is on cats. The good thing about Adorable Home is that it's not just a pet type app. It's also a home construction app. So that means the main focus isn't just taking care of your cats, but also...
It's build the home of your...
Yeah, it's more or less building a home of your dreams. That's the other focus for it. That's what I really like about it. And aside from that, Adorable Home is again free for both iOS and Android. So anyway, I guess...
It makes you go sana all.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
I guess that's about it for like pet care apps. So Roy, it's time we move on, don't you think?
Yeah.
Wink,
What else do you have?
Alright.
Wink.
Alright, so moving on to my section, we're gonna talk about Zen activities, which are hobbies and games. Since again, our main topic is about inner peace. Is that correct, Roy? Is that inner peace?
Yes.
All right.
It says so right in the title.
We can't forget about doing things that give us like a sense of inner peace, things that keep us calm. And for me and Roy, it's doing these podcasts for you. All right. So.
Yep. You have no idea how excited I am whenever we do this.
Oh, absolutely, Roy. In fact, I get so excited that I lock my door and close my curtains. All right. All right. Okay, so this is actually more of an issue to keep yourself productive, to keep yourself more or less motivated, and more importantly, calm while you're doing like during the whole lockdown. Because again, we're still in quarantine, and everyone knows how mentally draining it can get being isolated all the time and doing the exact same monotonous tasks in everyday life.
Yeah, and yes, it can debate. But what about ages 18 to 65 are now allowed to leave their houses?
Well,
but then I would counter this. It's not important though, so I won't
exactly.
leave.
And here's another thing, like there's still a pandemic going. Just because you're allowed to go outside doesn't mean it's safe to do so.
Yeah, I mean, this is the reason why cases will rise if we're being irresponsible. So, well, yeah, new thing comes out, everyone comes in droves to take a look at new thing.
And break quarantine.
That always happens.
It always
happens.
So, alright. So back on topic. So one of the important things to keep yourself zen, to keep yourself in a focused state of mind, to keep yourself focused, what I like to do is to always maintain a healthy and good schedule. Yes, when quarantine first started, everyone thought, it's not a big deal, even though it was. And everyone started doing, and now that we're like, it's been a year, almost a year actually, like it's been months, people are starting to slowly lose it, or actually that's a bit of an exaggeration. People have started to be more disorganized in their life, and I can actually I can give one example. Roy, what time do you usually sleep?
Can I say rather not say?
You see, everyone, it's either this is the importance of maintaining a schedule so that you always have a set amount of time where you can sleep and wake up earlier. Because yes, although I will admit I do have a messed up sleep schedule, as much as possible I set a schedule so within this time frame, that is my time frame to fall asleep. And for me,
but I do follow some semblance of a routine, because as soon as I wake up, if it's not classes yet, actually even with classes, I go and take a bath already.
Very nice.
So that is a semblance of a routine.
That's very important, because the problem with the quarantine, and the main problem with it aside from the isolation, is that people have become disorganized. After all, we're in the comfort of our home, so we don't really have to keep, what's the point of being organized, right? What's the point of following something? But I'm here to tell you that the sleep schedule, messed up sleep schedules, like sleeping at 3 a.m. like I used to do, is just the start of it. But I can give you I can tell you that doing this in the long run is very harmful for you. Even if it's in quarantine, it is very harmful for your health, and most importantly, for your mental health, because it's going to mentally affect you in ways you don't notice. You don't notice it, but it is slowly happening. Alright? So, the importance of maintaining a schedule is, aside from it keeping you focused, aside from keeping you calm, and of course emotionally satisfied or emotionally stable, I'm not sure the word for it, but just basically to keep you happy. The importance of a schedule, aside from these points, is that it allows you to actually keep organized and focused, which are the two things I can't stress enough. So, so here are these are the good effects. There we go. I couldn't find the word for it. These are the good things that come out of maintaining a schedule. First is they make you more focused. Two, they keep you more they keep you way happier for longer periods of time. Three, it keeps you more productive, because since you're maintaining a schedule, that means you have to follow a specific time where you do something. It could be something like playing games. It could be something like drawing or exercising. And more importantly, maintaining a schedule keeps you healthy, because these in a schedule, it shows you when you bathe, when you eat, and when you sleep. Because people often belittle the importance of sleep, but I can tell this, even Roy, did you know that missing even 1 hour of sleep can actually affect you in a big way?
I can kind of agree to that.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
People think that, okay, it's just 1 hour, what's that gonna do? But believe me or believe it or not, people who don't go to sleep, or don't get enough sleep, end up being more easily irritated in the morning, often become more forgetful, and are often more unfocused. Like, they're not as focused as they would be when they're actually getting enough sleep. So I'm here to actually show you two schedule apps that'll help you maintain your schedule. The first app,
Right on brand for our
yep,
podcast.
right on brand.
Let's go.
All right, so the first app I want to recommend is a pre-installed app that everyone has, and it's called Calendar. That's right, everyone has this on their iOS or Android phone. So,
Wow, look at that. It's an app that's sitting on your home screen.
okay, so enough jokes aside, the Calendar app is always going to be a staple for phones because one, it can actually give you reminders for when you need to do things. Two, it always reminds you, I think, a day before when an important event is going to happen, an event that you've set. And three, it allows you to set your own schedule or set your own events. Like, for example, okay, so on the 31st, it's Halloween. So October 31st, it's Halloween. I need to remember that. And your phone will automatically notify you that, hey, it's almost October 31st, so you need to do this.
Yeah. You can even set it to when it will remind you that an event is coming.
Exactly. So, more or less, this is still a staple, and I mainly use it for my schedule because, again, you know how you're able to set like multiple reminders for when you need to do things. I often do that instead of like keeping a checklist with me or writing it down in my phone. I'd prefer to have the app just remind me, hey, it's 11 o'clock, it's time for you to bathe, or hey, it's like 2 o'clock, it's time for you to like eat. Basically, things like that. So again, I recommend everyone to try to take full advantage of this app that normally you'd ignore, because now here's a little fun thing to know about it is now because of online classes. Did you know that if you have a Samsung phone like I do, it automatically syncs all of your Google meetings to your calendar. So even if you forget, like, oh, today was an online class or something, your phone will notify you when it's time.
I think it's an Android thing in general. I mean, my phone does the
Yep.
same, and that's a Huawei.
Yep, it is. Yeah, I think it's just an
Yeah.
Android thing. You're right there, Roy. And the second one is, of course, we can't forget about this one, is to-do list. To-do list is more or less the same thing as a calendar, except you can actually have an interface to look at your schedule. That's more or less the difference. But
Wait, let me see. Does my phone actually have it? Now that you mention it, these apps that come pre-installed and we just ignore it all the time. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a big brain
To-do
moment.
list was always there, but we just ignored it. But again, I'm going to mention this again, but the importance of maintaining a schedule is it allows you to be more focused, it keeps you happier, it allows you to be more productive, and it also makes you way more organized than you would if you didn't have it. And aside from that is, you'll notice right away, like if you've been doing it for 2 days or 3 days, you'll immediately start noticing like the mental effects or the psychological effects it has on you. 1, you're way more focused. 2, you're a lot more calmer. And 3 is that you're a lot more organized and productive with a lot of things. I've mentioned this so many times, but I can't stress this enough. If for all of you listeners out there, please, if you feel motivated or if you want to, maintain a schedule, because believe me, it will really help. All right, so moving on, Roy.
Start small as always.
Exactly. You don't have to make big leaps. Sometimes you have to just do things one step at a time. All right. So now,
What's next?
all right, Roy. So moving on. Do you have a hobby, Roy? Do you have a hobby?
Wow, you're saying that as if I didn't just say that I did.
I know, Roy, but it's for the sake of the podcast. Wink, winks.
Yes, I do UI app designing as a hobby.
All right, so
Wink,
Roy, you have you like designing UIs, all right? So today I'm gonna recommend you some hobby apps. All right, you excited? You don't sound excited.
Yes, do you want me to shake this microphone next to me?
No, I would prefer not. All right, so
I'm doing it anyway.
oh no. All right, so I'm gonna recommend to you some hobby apps. And again, before that, I have to actually mention that the reason that everyone should maintain a hobby is so that we have something to do during quarantine. And again, I've mentioned this in the previous episode, but it's quarantine. It's time for you to pick up some old hobbies, gain some new ones, so that you can have something to fill the time. I mean, look at Roy. He's gone back into UI design. You know, he's also now has the habit of watching plane crash documentaries and ghosting me. Roy, why are you ghosting me?
Damn. As if you're not the one that's doing it to me.
I'm not. I'm
Oops.
not doing that. I
Oops.
always respond. All right, so.
Oops.
Oops. All right, so.
Alright, so.
Here are the hobby apps I have for you today. The first one is for anyone who has a physical hobby. That means either playing tabletop RPGs, painting miniatures, even as simple as building ships, model planes, and even birdhouses. The app I would like
You had me at planes.
the app that I would recommend to you is called Hobby Model Scaler, which is a free app on Android and iOS. And the good thing about Hobby Model Scaler is it allows you to record measurements for your like miniatures, which are like these small like play pieces that you put on the table with your tabletop RPGs, or pretty much anything in general. It allows you to record measurements. It also has an onboard calculator that allows you to actually do calculations or just solve for like the measurements so that you can do your measurements properly. It even has like a color palette on it. It even has a color palette on it so that you can see what colors work best with your miniatures.
Yeah, you mean the color palette generator?
It has that.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this app is really useful for people who just want to, okay, let's say it's been a long day of online class because you can't go outside, and and you think, all right, I really want to build this birdhouse that I have, right? This boxed birdhouse set. So, but I don't know the measurements for it, right? So it says here, okay, I need to cut this piece of wood for 2 inches, but I don't know, what to use for my.
All right. Alright, continue.
All right, we need to cut that out, Roy. Okay, so.
Alright, you don't need to measure the PP long enough that the recording is this long.
Okay.
Now. Alright, so move on.
Alright, so okay, so let's say I don't have anything to measure it with. What is 2 inches? Do I use my finger? No, okay. So this app basically.
Do I have to use a long ruler?
All right.
But I don't even know where
So
my
the
ruler is.
This is for you. The Hobby Model Scaler gives you an actual digital ruler, which basically measures the dimensions of your phone, and lets you use that as a ruler. So you can put it right next to the piece of wood you need to cut. Or what you can do is, okay, it's 2 inches, alright, I have a tape measure right here, I can record it. What you can do is, I don't want to write it down on pen and paper, I can just
You can just record it in the app.
record it in the app, and then it'll show you a little bar, a tab that says, okay, so this is a piece of wood measures this. And more or less, you can use this in an endless amount of ways. So, but more or less, you just only have to worry about one thing, and that is ads.
Ads, of course. It's
And
free.
now, for the second app I have for you today, Roy, and I think definitely you have this, or you have some variation of it. It's called Magic Color Picker, which is a color generator. Yeah, it's a color generator. This is for all of you.
So it's a color palette generator.
Yep, it's a color palette generator. It's actually really this is applicable to us since we're software engineering students. And it's also more applicable to artists and illustrators, because don't you just hate it when you're drawing something and then you have to open another tab and I gotta type in a color palette generator and then you have to do it there? Well, this solves your problem, because this allows you to have an onboard color palette generator on your phone that not only shows you the look of the color, but gives you its RGB values, its HSV values, HSL, and YUV color values. So you don't even need to worry about it. It even has charts for you to properly find the color that would suit whatever it is you're doing.
Oh yeah, speaking of, yes, you're correct, I use a different kind of tool, which is the same thing anyway.
It's a variation of it.
It's Coolers. Coolers.io.
Coolers.io.
It's colors, but with cool.
Hey, Roy.
Coolers.
Roy, that sounds really cool, but
Coolers.co. What is it? Yeah, that's like what you described. You can check the trending palettes right now, or you could make your own. But here's the good part. If you're in desktop, just press your spacebar and boom, a new palette.
Wonderful.
Boom.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
There's an iOS app, but you have to pay for it. So yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna move on to the third part of my Zen activities, which is you need to take time off for yourself. Sometimes, even if you talk to your friends every day, or talk to your family members, or you do whatever you want, like your hobbies, sometimes you still get irritated. You still feel very like what's the term? You still feel very like it feels always crowded. You know that feeling you get like you're always smothered. You feel too like smothered. Like that's the best way to describe it. But this is the third and most important point of keeping yourself, like maintaining your inner peace. It's just taking time off for yourself. And sometimes people think this is a bad thing. Like you think, oh, I don't want to be alone. But what they don't realize is that if you don't even like allot 10 minutes of time just for yourself, you're going to end up like even worse for wear than if you didn't do it. You know, than if you did do it. Sorry. Because sometimes, even if we're with someone every day, it can get exhausting, and you can still feel lonely even with when you're with someone. So it's important to take time off for yourself, even just 10 minutes, to maintain your sanity. And more important is so that you can always stay your calm and always do the things you want. So that's why I'm going to actually recommend a few entertainment apps for you.
We're still on brand. Don't
worry. This isn't a TED talk. All right, we're gonna talk. All right, we're just gonna keep it nice and short.
We're gonna talk about apps and tech.
So the first app, I'm pretty sure that you guys know that we would quote unquote, is Netflix. All right.
My God, Earl.
All right. So, hey Roy, I can tell this much.
Yeah.
We netted a good topic. All right. So.
God. Oh my God.
Alright, so Netflix, everyone knows about this. It's a paid subscription service, but what people don't realize is that you can keep making free accounts to take advantage of the 30-day free trial. Don't quote me on that, okay? It's just something everyone can do, alright?
Yeah, you know, you could just watch the free things where you don't even need an
I know,
account
but if...
that Netflix, gives
I know,
you.
but even though there are a lot of free shows, when you want to pay watch the paid content, why not just make a free account, Make an account that basically gives you that for free.
Stranger Things.
Exactly. This app is really good for watching episodes by yourself or with a friend, and it's a really good way to take your mind off things or play in the background while you do something. Like designing UIs, Roy. Alright.
Yeah. I think I should watch some design shows on Netflix.
Absolutely. It would do you a lot of good. And another one, oh my god, this one, Roy. Believe me, this is a third-party app that nobody knows. Believe me, nobody knows this, alright? Alright, believe me, not even you would know it, alright? It's shoved down that tube really far in, alright, of the internet.
Wow.
It's YouTube, alright?
Wow, that is such an underrated gem of an
Yeah,
app.
it definitely...
Wow.
Alright, boasting under... a little bit of 51, no, right now it's 100, no, it's 500 million now that I check actually. Boasting 500 million downloads, YouTube is always going to be your staple for finding either videos you can relate to, online personas, or, unwind and watch yourself some father finger videos for the 5th time that always gets recommended to everyone for some reason.
Or even better, watch that phone review that that phone is so expensive you can't afford.
Might I recommend Mark Ass Brownlee for that?
LG Wing review.
Absolutely. Alright, so on a serious note, YouTube is a good way to not only watch videos but create some. If you want to get into, in fact, they even have a streaming service now. You can stream on YouTube now with donations, super chat. So if you guys want to get into streaming or you just want to make a video, I highly recommend doing YouTube. Or if you just want to relax, unwind, and take some time off for yourself, like I said before, just watch some YouTube.
I'll probably revive my own YouTube channel. It's been like
Roy,
2013.
when is next video, Roy?
It's been 7 years. I have something uploaded already, but you'll have to guess the name of the channel until I drop a trailer.
Alright, wonderful. Alright, so not only are we podcasters, but one of our hosts here, which is Roy, is actually a YouTuber. So go subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. That is if you can find it. Alright. Alright. So I guess that's it for my section of the podcast, that's it for Zen Activities. And yeah, I guess that's it. Now it's time to hand over our the reins to our co-host AJ for the game section. AJ, please take it away.
Thanks guys, I'll handle the access from here. Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk. And for today, we'll be having God of War, game character and plot analysis. This would contain spoilers, so if you're okay with that, continue on listening. Okay, so God of War, one of the classics when it comes to video games. It is an action-adventure game franchise created by David Jaffe at Sony's Santa Monica studio. It started in 2005 on a PlayStation 2 video game console and has become a flagship title for the PlayStation brand, consisting of 8 games across multiple platforms. Alright, so what's the deal with God of War? God of War's story was deemed to be something that has matured, and humanizing Kratos was a step forward into his character development in the most recent God of War title. But I will show you that this isn't the case. I researched a lot regarding the past titles and recent ones to analyze his said storyline maturity, and he may look like that strong, bloodthirsty brute, but he was always that complex character as well, like the Kratos we've seen with his son in the recent God of War of 2018. But if you don't remember that, let me refresh you. I'll mention some clips that show Kratos' humanized character and complex personality. In God of War Chains of Olympus 2008, Kratos had a daughter named Calliope, in which he loved. He promised her that he'd never leave her again despite knowing he has to stop Persephone and Atlas. He had to abandon his daughter to save her. Though he kills her together with her mother, Kratos' wife, due to Ares' manipulation, making Kratos think that they were holding him back, and he gets to regret his action in the long run. Despite that event, Kratos becomes reunited with his daughter again. Reading an article from the God of War fandom website, it was stated that upon arrival, Kratos and Calliope were then happily reunited. Though the reunion was cut short, however, as Persephone revealed the scope of her plans to use Atlas to destroy the Pillar of the World, which would destroy both Earth and Mount Olympus and kill all life. When Kratos realized that Elysium would fall too and that Calliope would die again, he charged at the goddess and stated that he would not lose his child again. See, Kratos did not want to see his child die again. Though this comes with a price. Calliope saw her own father Kratos slaughter a lot of people. Calliope was traumatized and couldn't play the flute ever again. Because of this incident, it haunts Kratos in the future titles. Ares uses this to torment him and break his spirit, but Kratos has always been determined to save them. This adds depth and complexity to Kratos' character by making him an already internally conflicted father. His monologues state how much he regrets and questions his actions. We see him asking, "By the gods, what have I become?" as well as asking for forgiveness in the God of War 2 of 2007 from his own wife. Kratos also struggles to form bonds with other people like Pandora in God of War 3 of 2010. He wanted to look for another way so that Pandora wouldn't be destroyed for the sake of destroying the flame of Olympus. In Ascension, he also has to deal with losing his wife that he was tricked into killing. That God of War title was his redemption arc and his quest for freedom. Kratos from the start was a man who was betrayed and used by the gods, which makes him conflicted. He planned revenge and destroy the world doing so, but realizes his only atonement was taking his own life, but he did not succeed. Throughout the titles of God of War, Kratos struggled with his actions in the past and present, his guilty and self-loathing, and we were shown some of the pieces of little compassion he has left. He also dislikes himself since he is aware of his own actions. So what am I trying to say? God of War has always been having Kratos as a conflicted, deep character. The thing with the recent God of War is that it becomes a well-written redemption arc for Kratos, wherein he deals with losing his wife and forming a bond with his son. He knows his past was cruel and bloody, but that past should not define him now. He should not allow or nor follow what the gods tell him to be. He knows he made mistakes, was wrong, and doing his best to make himself better and work with the compassion he has left. Despite hiding who he was to his son, he now shows this side in which he never did in the previous titles, and Kratos accepts that he is a monster. He now creates a bond with his son and lets him join him in the long run. Kratos' human side was only emphasized in the recent game, trying to be polite, kind, and being the good guy. Kratos was a man who was used. He turned from a compassionate father to a father seeking vengeance to a bloodthirsty man. Then after all he did, he came back to what he really was. Kratos is the cool and badass protagonist we all love, and he always has been. What makes him better now is that he is a human being with emotions. Someone who struggles but does his best to be better. And that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Again, this is AJ, your video game analyst. Thank you and stay safe, gamers.
And that's it for the podcast. We hope you listeners out there had fun.
And before we go, we'd like to thank Jared Hortaleza for giving the background music of this episode as always. And we hope that you've enjoyed this banter-filled Tech Talk podcast.
Definitely. That is good way of keeping yourself calm, keeping your inner peace. And anyway, this has been Tech Talk, and that's all we wrote. Peace out.
We'll see you next time, and peace out.